You're watching Checkpoint with me, Akisa Wandera. Thank you for staying with us. We're looking at the County Assembly, how they went about the vetting process and the consequent swearing in of Anne Kananu Mwenda as Deputy Governor of Nairobi. But most importantly, we're looking at, so what next for this county? And I'll come back to you, Peter Onyama. You'd already started explaining on, so what are some of these legal issues we are facing? We are expecting barrage of court cases court cases with regards to this particular issue. But talk to us about what we expect at the courts. In the event these cases prolong, and perhaps a possibility that they might go all the way to the Supreme Court. That entire time this process is ongoing, what happens to the leadership of the county?
I think from the ruling of the High Court on Friday, it is crystal clear that the judges want continuity at City Hall. But this is not one of those situations where the High Court shall shy away from making orders that protects the Constitution and promotes the rule of law. For the reason that we are being faced with a unique situation whereby a by-election is being impeded through a process which is being revived for political expediency. So we expect the High Court to be bold enough and make a decision that promotes the rule of law and accountability in terms of the decision-making process. Now, of course, we expect litigation. Remember that it's the first time that this part of the Constitution is being tested. The issue has emerged. It is an artificial lacuna which we have created for ourselves, a lacuna which is now presenting so many legal issues. So we expect heavy litigation in the High Court. We also expect that litigation to go all the way to the Court of Appeal and then the Supreme Court for finality. In terms of the practical way in which the litigation will be done, we are not sure how long this will take. But the challenge from a practical standpoint is that the longer this dispute remains in the court, the better tactical advantage the persons who are pushing this swearing in and assumption of office have. So I think it then leads to one inevitable conclusion that this litigation is supposed to be handled as soon as possible. The judiciary then must come in under the leadership of the new acting Chief Justice to ensure that they issue appropriate directions for stability of Nairobi, so that we don't have this mess continuing on forever. As you said earlier, it sets an extremely dangerous precedent in our polity, and therefore it is important that the judiciary intervenes very quickly and gives a final decision for the benefit of the people of Nairobi.
Martin Alo, I'd love your thoughts on this, and also looking at how Nairobi has been handled for some years now, from NMS to the impeachment of Mike Sonko to now the vetting and swearing in of Anne Kananu Mwenda. Likely she will ascend to the gubernatorial or governor position. Why is it very important for political players to control this process?
Okay, let me come to that, but I wanted to address something that my brother Peter raises, and I wanted to address it in this manner. That, first of all, what the High Court did is to say that, because what was before the High Court was an application for injunction, seeking to injunct or to have a conservatory order to stop the vetting of Anne Kananu. Now, what the court said is that it did not see at that point what was prima facie, what was material to stop that vetting, and therefore did not want to obstruct the county assembly from performing its duty. So the court gave a window to allow the vetting to take place. Having done that, the courts will have to face the consequences of trying to reverse that, because they have already given that window. Now, what is the consequence of vetting? The consequence of vetting is so that then if the person is suitable, they are then appointed to the position. So the courts have actually participated in appointing the deputy governor, because they have allowed the county Assembly to do its job, which has resulted into that appointment. Now, if you say there are going to be a lot of litigation in courts and the courts will rise, remember, courts are moved, so it's going to be the arguments that are brought before the court that are going to be very critical. And here is the problem. What are you going to say about the role of the county assembly? Did they omit anything in their procedure? Maybe, maybe not. Is there now a substantive deputy governor? Yes, there's now a substantive governor. So what is the argument? Is there a governor who should have appointed the deputy governor? You will find that that is going to be an interesting point of litigation. But having said that, one thing that I can tell you that is for sure right now is that the by-election is going to be postponed. And there's a likelihood that the by-election may or may not happen. That one I can tell you. Now, the other one that I can say with confidence is that there is an acting governor and there is a deputy governor. That political process is going to unfold. And very soon we shall find a governor who will be a political appointee, in this case, having been vetted by the county assembly. And then you will have very little room to wiggle around it in courts because, again, what is it that you'll be saying in courts around these issues? Now, politically, that navigation and that route is going to take a swift action. And once that process is installed, the rest will be arguments in court that can take for as long as it takes, but there will be an office filled in. Now, you know that even with the creation of the Nairobi Metropolitan Authority, which was done in a manner that the courts have pronounced itself one way or the other, we still know that the authority is still around, it is working, and the first thing that the acting governor did was to sign off the money to them, so that process is going. They are in office. So we have a situation that now we have to face, and yes, we'll be in court, but that will be an exercise in sophistry, even as we battle. The political line is already drawn.
All right. I know Anyama has a rejoinder to this, but I'd like to come back to you at the top of the hour to just respond to some of the things that Martin Olo has said, and especially around the acting governor and what he can and what he cannot do. We'll be back with that conversation. I'm also seeing a lot of your questions. I'll be posing them at the top of the hour. Keep them coming. Text us on 22155. Twitter is at Akisa Wandera at KTN News KE. Let's take a quick break. I'll be back with sports news and more of that conversation when we get back.